Ms. Sanders, all you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Amber Till. I'm with the Florida USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. I am presently in my previous duty station in the Sacramento area of California. I've just taken on this position with Florida State Office last week. So this is my first opportunity to meet partners virtually. Thank you for the invitation. I have a few slides to go over financial assistance opportunities for agricultural producers and non-industrial private forest managers. Let's see here. My arrow buttons are no longer working on my computer. There we go. So NRCS financial assistance programs are voluntary programs. They're there to help make conservation work for non-industrial forest managers and agricultural producers. The NRCS process of financial assistance programs is, the first step is one-on-one planning with an NRCS planner to help identify resource concerns and implement conservation practices that can address resource concerns and that can co-benefit an agricultural operation or a forest operation. So for programs offered by USDA, NRCS is the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. We call it EQIP. EQIP is the program where we can provide financial assistance to address a resource concern to take it to a level of, say, equilibrium. Our other program, called the Stewardship Program or Conservation Stewardship Program, CSP, is after resource concerns have been addressed, you can enhance them. And then we have a hybrid program. We have a new program called EQIP Conservation Incentives Contract, EQIP CIC. It's a little bit of EQIP and a little bit of CSP. CSP sometimes can be challenging for producers and forest managers to reach the threshold that's required for participation in the program. So these EQIP CIC contracts provides an opportunity for producers to kind of get their foot in the door with some of these stewardship practices and stewardship payments without actually having to achieve certain levels of thresholds for resource concerns. We also have another program. It's called the Regional Conservation Partnership Program, Rcpp. This is a program where partners come to NRCS and offer up innovative ideas to address conservation in a particular project area. For Florida NRCS, up in North Florida, there is a project with the tall timbers, and that's to address resource concerns on forest lands, and also they have some easements as part of that project. So RCPP is a partner-driven program where a partner comes, identifies those resource concerns in the project area, and then we as an agency can provide financial assistance opportunities similar to what EQIP is and what CSP is. So as previously mentioned from the previous presenter, you know, and just the purpose of this council is prescribed fire. And NRCS can provide financial assistance for a conservation practice called prescribed burning. And prescribed burning, as many of you know, and I am learning because I am new to the Florida longleaf pine forest ecosystem. But prescribed burn is critical and integral to the growth habit and the management of longleaf pine in all stages of its growth. And we could provide financial assistance to assist forest managers with their prescribed burning. We also have additional practices when it comes to, say, an understocked stand. So if there's a stand, or as the previous landowner had mentioned, his land had been in CRP, and he went in and planted trees. NRCS can provide financial assistance for tree planting, for site prep, herbaceous weed control. So all the typical types of management regimes that you see in the longleaf pine forests, we can provide financial assistance. There's also situations, perhaps the land had been planted and left for a period of time, and the stands are overstocked. We have conservation practices that can assist with forest thinning, either hand thinning or mechanical thinning. It is pre-commercial thinning, so NRCS is not in the arena of providing financial assistance related to any sort of commercial thinning. In addition, we have practices like woody residue treatment that can manage that thinned material. It can be managed on site, left scattered on site, or that material could be removed off site. There's also cases where you have the need for herbaceous weed treatment as part of that thinning, and also, say, brush management, that stand management, the understory management. NRCS, if there's a grazed forest management on the landscape, we have practices that can assist producers and forest managers. In a grazed landscape, we have a conservation practice that can work with a producer to identify, say, a rotational method for grazing animals. It's called Practice 528, prescribed grazing. We also have a silvopasture practice. We have supporting practices such as fence, access control, and watering facility that can support that prescribed grazing management on the landscape. And also, we have conservation practices to improve and enhance wildlife habitat. I think game species are pretty common in these forests. There's a red-headed woodpecker, and I hear that there's a tortoise out in this type of forested landscape. We have practices such as woody residue treatment that can help to manage for wildlife purposes. We also have wildlife habitat plantings. And then we just have a practice called upland wildlife habitat management that can assist producers with identifying new opportunities to manage the land for wildlife. Okay, so NRCS has a number of practices that a forest manager may be interested in pursuing financial assistance and help with. So how does a producer go about doing that? Well, first and foremost, contact your local NRCS field office. They are going to be best prepared to assist you. They work in the county. Oftentimes they live in that same county. They know the resource concerns and can assist you to identify opportunities and practices to address those resource concerns. So you would schedule a visit with an NRCS planner, and you would start to work with that planner to identify your goals and your objectives for your forest lands. And through that, working together with NRCS, you would develop a conservation plan. That conservation plan may have practices like prescribed burn. It might have forest stand improvement. It might have upland wildlife habitat management. So once you have an idea of the type of practices and your goals and objectives for your operation, you could request a program application from NRCS, and you could apply for financial assistance program, right? So we have the EQIP program to address natural resource concerns on the landscape. If your operation has already addressed resource concerns and you're interested in enhancing your landscape, CSP is a program that could be available to you. And of course, we also have the other program, which is a hybrid of those. So it could be that you may have reached a threshold of conservation for some of your resource concerns, but not all of them. So you may be interested in applying for the EQIP Conservation Incentives Contract Program. So once you apply for a financial assistance program, you're going to need to take some steps to establish your farm records with our sister agency, the Farm Service Agency. We have some eligibility requirements for our programs. We have an adjusted gross income requirement, and we have a highly erodible land and water conservation, wetlands conservation requirement. So you would work with your NRCS office and the planner that you've been in contact with to develop your conservation plan, and they can help you to move through the steps to get your farm records and to submit your eligibility. And then finally, you would want to determine what is a realistic, achievable schedule of practices that you could complete in, say, a 1 to 5 year period. Once you have that, then NRCS can take the next step. So NRCS programs are competitive programs, and our applications for financial assistance are accepted throughout the year. We do establish specific deadlines for ranking and funding opportunities. We just had a funding selection here this last month. So we typically have annual funding cycles. So these programs are competitive, so applications that will result in a greater environmental benefit will receive a higher score and a higher priority to receive a contract. So if you receive a contract, your planner will help you through the process of signing your documents, finalizing practice implementation requirements, and identifying the payments for those practices. You should know that the payment rates for those conservation practices in a contract are fixed for the life of the contract. So they don't vary with, say, inflation, like we're seeing right now. So that's where it's realistic to develop your practice schedule in something that you might be able to do in, say, 1 to 2 years, because our practice payment rates, they don't change. They're fixed the year that NRCS develops them. So we do review our practice payment rates each year. So if you apply for a contract and you receive a contract and you're able to complete your practices in 1 to 2 years, you can always come back to NRCS and apply again. So don't feel like you need to get a 5-year contract with all the practices that you want to complete as your longer term goal. Take it in little pieces. All right, so who should you reach out to if you're interested in financial assistance programs? So put up here a list of field offices for Northern Florida. We have field offices in just about every county, and these are going to be the individuals, the district conservationists for these field offices. That's who you're going to want to reach out to. They can help you to identify next steps and help you with identify your goals and your objectives for your operation. You may have a vision for your operation, and NRCS can provide a way to frame that and organize it into a conservation plan. So the NRCS field offices are going to be the first line that you are going to want to reach out to if you are interested in pursuing financial assistance with USDA NRCS. I hope I didn't go too fast, but I think that wraps up my section. I don't know if we're going to do questions right now or if we're going to do questions later.